Jamie, we got to talk about this story that comes the way of Insider Gaming, or the Insider Gaming Network. This was written and published today by Tom Henderson himself. He says this in the header: Virtuos, which is a studio that makes games, is working on an unannounced remake using the Unreal Engine 5. And of course, as the thumbnail, he has the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Now, again, I'm going to read verbatim from the article, and we will break it down in a second. He says this, ladies and gentlemen: a developer's LinkedIn profile has revealed that Virtuos is working on an unannounced remake for current generation consoles using Unreal Engine 5. Now, there it is, folks. Consoles, meaning that this is probably going to be a multi-plat release, and that is perfectly fine. Oblivion was available on pretty much everything, so I would imagine if they're spending the money and the time and the investment into remaking one of the best RPGs from the Xbox 360 era, hands down, it's going to be released on consoles, meaning with an S, PlayStation 5, Series X and S, probably the Switch 2, makes sense, and of course, PC. Now, it goes on to say, first spotted by X, formerly Twitter, user Timur222. The information comes from Oleski, LinkedIn page, who is a technical art director at Virtuos. His description of his current work simply reads: unannounced UE, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PC remake. In December of 2024, several rumors began to circulate that Virtuos would be developing the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion remake. And of course, I was one of those scoopers, though I didn't get credit for it. Fine, whatever. Which was further collaborated with by the leaker known as Ecstasies, and he's a really good dude. If you're not following him or sub to his channel, please do so. He breaks stories, and his connections are deep. While some find it somewhat hard to believe that Virtuos could be developing a fully fledged remake of the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion on Unreal Engine 5, the proof is seemingly starting to stack up, according to the story. For those out of the loop, the remake or remaster of Oblivion first popped up during the FTC investigation into Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, which the game expected to release during the fiscal year of 2022, a date that has obviously been missed. Jamie, this is amazing. I'm so sorry that we don't have Umbra here, because obviously he'd be licking his chops to talk about this. He is Mr. Unreal Engine 5, but I got to tell you, when I talk about the fact that we're going to get Oblivion and potentially a remade, not a remaster, not a cash grab, like a full-on remake of one of the Xbox 360's best RPGs, like a big old nerd, I'm getting goosebumps, ladies and gentlemen, because it's my favorite RPG, for the horse armor and everything that went with it. I remember being turned into a vampire. For the love of Joe, I could not save myself, and I just stayed as a vampire because I got that vamp disease. It was hilarious, but I went with it. It was amazing. Jamie, this is one of the games, and again, it's just my opinion, that I think will be at this Dev Direct. And even though it's a first-party game, it would be considered a partnered game, so to speak, because it's going to be available on other consoles. I am really hoping we get a chance to see what this game looks like, and the Dev Direct seems like the perfect spot to show off this game. Let's get your thoughts.
You know, like I was saying in the pre-show, I've been telling people it would be in the January show for 6 months, and I was called all sorts on my channel.
Yes, I was there. I saw some of the escapees trying to hunt you down.
And the thing is, I love Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Oblivion. It's an amazing game. I actually prefer it to Skyrim when it comes to the main story. I think Oblivion has a way better main story than Skyrim. Skyrim is better for the side stuff, but what a hell of a game. And plus, think about the technology we have now. Remember stepping through the Oblivion gate and getting like a 1 minute loading screen? And there was like 50 Oblivion gates. So like now you wouldn't really have to have that. I think that the term remake has been thrown out a lot because there's different kinds of remakes, and I think some people see some kinds of remakes and think it's a remaster. To my knowledge, it's a one-to-one remake with quality of life stuff. So the best thing I can compare it to is Metal Gear Solid Delta, right? That remake looks phenomenal, but it is a one-to-one remake. That little cave underneath the bridge near the beginning of the game in Metal Gear Solid 3, that is the exact same shape and the exact same place as the original version. So it looks like we're going to get that with this, but that's what I want. I don't want a completely like redone remake where it's like new story elements and all that stuff. Oblivion's Oblivion. People like that Elder Scrolls thing. Now, the real question is, when will it launch? Will it be a shadow drop? I'm guessing no. It's a big game. It's a very big game. But like Elder Scrolls, like Oblivion, like that was a powerhouse back in the day. Like that was one of those games you showed off on your 360 back in the day, and like you were just impressed by. It's massive open world. You left the cave at the beginning of the game, and like that game is ugly now. Like I play old games all the time. Let me tell you,
it's not good.
It's not. Like, yes, it does run at 4K 60, but you have 4K 60 green paint grass texture on the ground. It is awful. But it's a hell of a game, and I think this is going to be the treatment it deserves, because that's all it needs. One-to-one remake, quality of life stuff, third person enhancements, because the third person combat in the original game is awful. But I'm looking forward to this. It's blatantly going to be happening, and I think this game will prove that Microsoft is willing to go back to older titles to maybe improve upon them, which some people have said in the past maybe they don't want to do, which could open up, other games as well. I keep trying to tell Microsoft to remaster Lost Odyssey.
That's another one I would love to see them. Let me tell you something. So just for some context here, if this does well, and I believe it's going to do super well, especially because everyone is, holding their breath, waiting for the next actual new Elder Scrolls, right? This has a chance to do extremely well. If it does, I think there's an opportunity to absolutely remaster or remake the Lost Odyssey. Honestly, that is another overlooked RPG, one of the best of the 360 era, and no one talks about it, dude.
Yeah, I love Lost Odyssey, and if people have been following me on Twitter, I yap on about that game every week. It is a hauntingly beautiful JRPG.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the most hardcore JRPGs. Like that game will kick your teeth in without any remorse. Like it is brutally hard, but it's a great game. And like that's one of the reasons why I want them to remaster it, because the difficulty in that game is punishing. And like just give people the option to maybe knock it down a notch. But like if Oblivion does well, and I think it will, and like look, when the Fallout TV show came out last year, Fallout 4 was number 1 across Europe in the charts, right? People were excited about Fallout again. And like Oblivion and like Elder Scrolls, we haven't had one for so long. And I think, Elder Scrolls fans, like, even though this is an old game and it would be a remake, it's just going to open up like people's excitement, because like, again, we haven't had one for so long. It will do well. And like, they could, like, this isn't even the first time they've done this. Like Gears of War Ultimate Edition is called a remaster, but it's actually a remake. They remade all the assets. They remade all the levels. They even redirected the cutscenes in different ways. And like Microsoft has proven that they will go back in the past and like touch up games, remake them or whatever. I can't imagine an Elder Scrolls game not selling well. And like you said, it will be on everything. Like the original Elder Scrolls Oblivion was. It may have performed like absolute like dog crap on PlayStation 3, but like it's going to be on Switch 2 probably. It's going to be on everything. I think Elder Scrolls fans are going to be hyped. Like think about this: how long have Elder Scrolls fans been waiting for a new game to play?
Yeah,
we've had
years.
Yeah, we've had Skyrim in 2011. We had the Definitive Edition in 2016, and then we got the Xbox One X patch, and then the Xbox Series patch. Like, people want something new, even if it is a remake. It's been way too long, and it will tide people over till Elder Scrolls 6, and also that list of leaked games we got last year, like Fallout 3 Remastered was on that list, and I know all the years were actually like kind of skewed because of the pandemic and stuff, but like Oblivion remake and Indiana Jones were listed to be out in the same year. So like I think this game is coming out maybe within the next 2 months.
It's funny you say that because what would set the internet on fire, right? Like, look, we all know, ladies and gentlemen, that we as Xbox fans are waiting for the Dev Direct announcement. Now, we've had quite a few people talk about it. I talked about it. Jess Korn talked about it. Tom Henderson, Tom Warren, Ecstasies. The list goes on. It goes on and on. How many people have been talking about this Dev Direct? It's happening. And it's probably going to be exactly what I said it was in the third week. Great. But what are we also waiting for? Well, we're obviously still in January, and we know that Avowed is coming. We've also, a lot of people, we keep seeing, and you've talked about this before, how amazing the gameplay continues to look on South of Midnight. They keep putting gameplay clips. That tells me they're confident. That game is ready to go. But a lot of people are like, oh man, maybe it'd be a shadow drop. I actually hope it's not. I think the game is too big to be a shadow drop, and I want to see it get the proper advertising that it deserves. With that said, though, Jamie Moran, I think there's an opportunity here for Oblivion to be one of those quote-unquote shadow drops. That would set the internet on fire. And again, it would be a tough sell because Avowed is coming out, and you certainly don't want this game eating Avowed's lunch. So I don't know when it could be released, but it could be one of those announcements that, hey, this is a surprise. Virtuos worked on this. They show some gameplay. They do some side-by-side developer conversation because it's going to be a developer's direct. And they say available right now. And that would be one of those instances where it would set the internet on fire because we're all waiting for a new Elder Scrolls. And this is, even though it's a remake, it would be technically a new Elder Scrolls because, they redid pretty much everything. Any thoughts to that before we get on out of here?
I mean, even though I do think Elder Scrolls Oblivion remake would be big enough to do a marketing campaign and sell it. Don't get me wrong. I would love to wake up one day and just have it there day one. When it's announced, I would love that as a shadow drop because I like you love Oblivion. I love Oblivion. Like Oblivion's such a good game. Like it doesn't get talked about enough. I think because we've had 13 years of Skyrim. Oblivion just gets overlooked, and I would love that to happen. Like ideally, for me personally, I want there to be a shadow drop because I'll have it right there and then. Will it be though? Is a different story. I just think we basically know at this point it's coming, just in what fashion. And like you said, you can't really have Oblivion overshadow Avowed because Oblivion's a 200-hour RPG. Avowed is a big one. Avowed is a 30-hour RPG. It's going to be weird, but either way, I'm excited, and I think gamers should be excited because it's blatantly around the corner. Just how are we going to get it? Is it going to be a shadow drop like Microsoft? Like hell, we could really see anything be a shadow drop at this point because Hi-Fi Rush was a shadow drop, and that was an incredible game and a very high quality game at that as well. So who knows? I think Microsoft, despite all the faults in the past, they can surprise us, and they have enough games to do that.
They absolutely do. I mean, listen, they literally have so many games in development, so many secrets that we don't know about. And again, folks, like I said, I'm hearing that if you thought June 2024 was big, and I was ass in seat, I was in that auditorium, and I will never forget that feeling of seeing Gears E Day, seeing Fable, seeing Perfect Dark. It was just an amazing experience. The rumor is this June is going to be even bigger. And that's on top of what we already know is coming out this year. I really do think that Xbox is going to be turning the tides. They're going to be changing a lot of hearts, a lot of minds. Are they going to sell consoles? I don't know. But the fact that you can play these games pretty much anywhere, I don't think they care. They just want to sell the software, which is what they're going to do.